Welcome to the Trailer Island podcast. I am your host, Alex, and I'm joined by...
Matthew.
And Steve.
Hello, how are we this evening?
Very well, thank you. How are you
Well
doing?
informed.
Well informed?
Yeah.
That's a good way to be. Now, here we're on the Trailer Island podcast. We compare films and their trailers, and did the film deliver what the trailer promised? And we've got an interesting one this week. It's not an action film. It's not a...
Well, arguably not an action
Well,
film.
no, it's not a comedy. It's not a superhero film.
Courtroom drama?
It's a courtroom drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. I feel like being the third person in that chain there, I had to add something and I just couldn't think of anything.
I think you added something. It was quite, I liked what you said.
Thank you, Steve.
You gave us what I expected you to.
Yeah.
Well, as long as I'm meeting expectations, that's fine.
I guess there's nothing better to do than, I suppose, just introduce the film. Who would like to?
I feel a little like, I guess, a bit respectful for this one because of what it's about. I'm a little afraid to tackle it, if I'm perfectly honest. So
it's one of the classic based on a true stories.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how we go. I'm keen for some discussion.
Okay. Who wants to?
Well, Steve, would you like to? You're looking at me very wantingly.
Yeah, but that's just because of your body.
All right, we are doing the trial of the Chicago 7.
We want to underscore again that we're coming to Chicago peacefully, but whether we're given permits or not, we're coming.
We're going to Chicago to protest the Vietnam War.
And there's no place to be right now but in it.
We watched for a decade while these rebels without a job tell us how to prosecute a war. Well, they're going to spend their 30s in a federal facility, real time.
People say, Abby, are you concerned about an overreaction from the cops?
Are the people ready to make opening arguments?
At the defense table, Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Dave Dellinger, Rennie Davis, Lee Weiner, John Freund, Tom Hayden, and Bobby Seale. These defendants had a plan, and the plan was to incite a riot.
I call this portion of the trial with friends like these.
My trial's begun without my lawyer.
The court assumes you are being represented by the Black Panther sitting behind you.
The riots were started by the Chicago Police Department.
Sustained.
Nobody objected.
Jurors 6 and 11, they're with us. Juror number 6 and juror number 11, you're dismissed from this jury.
Can you tell us why?
Because this is my courtroom.
We've dealt with jury tampering, wiretapping, a defendant that was literally gagged.
Get your hands off me.
You're the first to suggest that I have discriminated against a black man.
Then let the record show that I'm the second.
When we walked in here this morning, they were chanting that the whole world is watching.
If we leave here without saying anything about why we came in the first place, it'll be heartbreaking.
Last summer, why did you come to the convention?
To end the war.
We're giving them exactly what they want, a stage and an audience.
Yeah, you really think there's going to be a big audience?
This is what revolution looks like, real revolution. We may have to hurt somebody's feelings.
Is this prosecution politically motivated?
I'm tired of hearing you.
It would be impossible for me to care any less what you are tired of.
Here I am! There will be order!
We have to find some courage now.
How much is it worth to you? What's your price? To call off the revolution? My life.
It's another very long Netflix trailer.
Yeah.
I don't like that trailer.
No, neither do I. I don't. I did watch that last night before I watched the movie, and I didn't like the trailer.
Really? I quite like it. It's got two different tones. So it starts off a bit of actiony, a little bit, there's some funny stuff, but then it hits that serious wave.
But I don't like the music they've used in that last half. It's it honestly makes me roll my eyes. I was like, oh, here are the dramatic speeches. And I think it does the film a disservice, though, because the dialogue in the script in this film is superb. It's incredible. Yeah. And that trailer makes you think it's going to be this awfully cliched thing, which it isn't really. The film is actually very well-rounded, I think. So, yeah, I don't like that trailer for that reason.
We'll get into the plot in a second, but I think that trailer promises a movie that really isn't there.
Oh?
Yeah. It promises this uplifting, this motivational civil rights thing, and the trailer for Chicago 8 really wasn't that. And by the end of this film, really sort of demonstrate that it definitely isn't. a stand-up, motivated sort of get inspired sort of thing.
Yeah, it's more about the mistrial or the misuse of justice, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And even there are scenes in the trailer that don't play out like they do in the film. They're cut differently. Like in this, when the judge says it's overruled when there hasn't been an objection, that conversation doesn't happen like that at all in the film.
I think there's another one.
I feel like that's sort of like prying at your...
The other one as well is the line, "Are you okay?" Well, I was until I saw that. In the trailer, he's looking at this armed police force, but in the actual film, that line happens when he sees all the protesters outside the courtroom who are like behind them, sort of supporting.
And that makes it feel like it's like at the end of the film when all these people are supporting, and it's like within the first 2 minutes.
So what is this film about then?
Well, this was a bit of a history lesson for me.
Yeah.
I may not be the best person to talk about it. Alex, you said you did a bit of research as well.
Oh, I did a bit of research after the film because I was trying to work out, okay, this person was playing this character. Who were they in real life? What did they look like? And from my understanding, and they do explain it quite well. I do like the pacing of this film and how they go from act to act and how different chapters are presented to us, because I guess they're trying to explain a real life event, which is always... when it says based on a true story, okay, that some sort of creative license has been taken on this.
Yeah, I would suggest that there's a lot of airbrushing is the word I'm going to use on this too.
And, I mean, it is an Aaron Sorkin film, which we will get into about as well, which I think that's really important. But in this film, it's a trial of the Chicago 7. Now, technically, when the trial starts, there are 8 people. Now... the story goes that this group of people are being charged with inciting a riot, and because they came from interstate to Chicago, which is Illinois, that it becomes a federal crime, or there's a different sort of level of crime that they can be charged with. And basically the law wants to make an example of these people to prevent these riots from happening again. And it's in like 1960, the late 60s, isn't it?
It's towards the end.
Yeah, 68. Black Panthers weren't around until 67, 68.
So there's Black Panthers involved and all these different, I guess, human rights groups. And the purpose of them going to Chicago is to go to the current government's convention where someone's
Democratic National Convention.
Okay, Democratic. Yeah. That probably means a lot more to our American audience than it does to us.
Yeah.
And they're there to protest the war in Vietnam. And
well, I don't want to, again, it's going to come down to technicalities in this sort of historical film, but they're there to protest the Democratic nominee for president that year. The protesters there believe that the Democratic nominee, I forget his name at this moment, isn't hard enough on the Vietnam War. Right. It's probably too pro-war, and that's what they're protesting.
Okay. See, that wasn't entirely clear to me.
Okay. I honestly just assumed, because I'm an uneducated Englishman and know nothing about America, that they were purely just going Vietnam War is bad.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
That's
which it is what it boils down to.
Well, at the end of the film definitely makes that the whole point.
They do a lovely job of intertwining real footage.
Oh, actually, I thought that was during the riots where they staged these riots, and like you say, they just throw some actual footage in there. You go, wow, that's really making it land home.
Which is an interesting choice if you think about it from a storytelling perspective, because. You are using real life footage of something in your narrative film. Like, it doesn't feel out of place, but it is sort of an interesting style choice to do that.
You could argue that it makes it disingenuous. You're telling a dramatic story with maybe a hint of fictional elements, and you're sort of trying to underline that by saying this definitely happened, because
it's a bit
here's
like
the news footage.
If in Titanic, not that there is any vision, but if in Titanic James Cameron put actual footage in, and it's well, now I know that I'm looking at a set with actors on it because I've just seen the real. Is that sort of what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
whether it's trying to qualify itself a little bit more by doing it. I certainly did appreciate it, though. I think it didn't necessarily take me out.
I think by the same... Sorry, Alex, I don't mean to cut you off.
Well, I'm just thinking it really does sort of help hammer home the point.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, it's like when they put real-life World War II footage at the end of a World War II action film during the credits. It's like, okay, that's so, just a reminder, you've watched a cool action film, but it did happen,
Yeah.
That's quite cool. I liked it. I liked that was in there.
What I would have liked at the very end of the film is because at the very end of the film, I know I'm cutting to the end here, but is that they give you a bit of text on screen about what happened to these people in real life, but they didn't show photos of them. I thought if you're going to use archival footage, you should have your actor and your real life person side by side so you can put an association. I thought that would have been a nice touch.
Maybe they just looked nothing alike, so they thought, hey, we can't show the actors we've cast look nothing like the real people.
Sacha Baron Cohen, though, definitely he had a little bit of. He had a good Abby Hoffman going there. He did.
Okay.
I went and did some research on Abby Hoffman, and he's definitely got the Hoffman throw going quite well.
The lawyer looks heaps like who plays the lawyer?
Mark Rylance or Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Sir
Mark Rylance. Yes.
How's that feel, Alex? Did that feel right?
Oh, it feels wonderful.
Look like Bill Kunstler.
Terrific. I want to, now that we're on Sir Mark Rylance, he elevates this film, I think, far higher than it would otherwise be. Oh. Now, there are some terrific performances in this movie, pretty much from everyone in it. Yeah. But Sir Mark Rylance is, I don't think I've ever seen him in a film where he hasn't stolen and commanded every scene he's in.
Oh, I disagree, and I'm only going to top this by one. Frank Langella is so easy to hate.
That's true.
Okay, every time he does something absolutely insane in the courtroom, Mike Rylance is nowhere to be seen, and it's just the Frank Langella hour.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll have to differ with you on that one, but I think I do agree with you. Like that judge character, Julius Hoffman, is. Like you say, it's a bit like Umbridge in Harry Potter. You just hate the character.
That's a great analogy for it.
And you really do hate this guy. And but I think it's amazing seeing, especially Mark Rylance's reactions as the film progresses. He gets more and more fed up with this lunacy that this judge is sort of spewing out. And I just loved watching his character. Really, the only reason I think I would watch this again. It's a great movie. It's very heavy. So I think the only reason I would watch it again is to watch the performances.
Yeah.
They're fantastic performances. There's also Sacha Baron Cohen's character,
Abby Hoffman. Yeah,
Abby Hoffman, who he's a revolutionary writer of some description. I
think he's got a great arc in this. Actually,
he does, but I found it a little bit hard with his accent. I don't know if Sacha Baron Cohen can do an American accent.
Yeah.
And also Eddie Redmayne's character accent in this felt like he had stuffing up his nose or something. Just obviously he's practiced and tried to understand the way
he's always sounded a bit nasal. I'm not picking on the guy. He's a professional actor, and I'm not saying
he's British, isn't he?
He is British.
He's always been a mumbler.
Like if you look at the Fantastic Beasts films in particular. And I know it's part of the character he plays, but he's also sort of murmuring and doing that. But in this one, I think because of the American accent, I guess the way he's trying to lose his British one is by amplifying that, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know that I've seen him in many other big films.
He was in Les Mis with a Russell Crowe one.
True. He's in the Stephen Hawking one.
Haven't seen it.
Actually, that's Theory of Everything, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is a terrific movie.
That's very good. He mumbles in that as well.
Well, then he gets the computer to talk for him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Jeremy Strong.
Yeah. We were.
You both look so excited.
I did not know that was him until the end of the movie. Yeah. He is so good in this.
We have a podcast about to come out called The Gentleman, which you'll want to listen to.
We'll do The Gentleman at some point.
Yeah.
But we didn't touch on
Mark Strong in that.
Jeremy Strong.
Sorry, Mark Strong is another bald actor with the last name Strong. But yes.
But comparing him from that film to this film, and the two characters are unrecognizable, and he does such a good job with both.
He really does. Because I've seen The Gentleman, and like I said, we are going to do that one at some point. And I did like his character in The Gentleman. He's a side character, but he's interesting, but he is just a different person. I was like, that is a really effective actor because he's just transformed in this. I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I when I looked up the list of actors, I was like he was the Afro, what? He was the Afro guy.
So I was reading up on this today, and it turns out he's actually a very heavy method actor, right? To the point where he asked, was it Aaron Sorkin? Aaron Sorkin. He asked Aaron Sorkin if he could be tear gassed and then beaten up by an ex-cop to get into the role, to which Aaron allegedly responded, "I'm not having that on my film set." But that's how committed this guy was to his character, is he wanted to put himself through that to know what it felt like.
Yeah, well, power to him.
Yeah, so he's on my radar now. Like, what a great actor.
So I want to touch. You mentioned the structure before, and I do want to sing its praises. And the way it's sort of structured within this film is the prologue gives us the motivations as to why these protesters are going to Chicago.
Yep.
And then we cut instantly back into the trial, which is interspersed by bits and pieces from like the days leading up to the riots in Chicago. I think that's a fantastic framing device. We actually get a nice round picture of who each of our characters are. I think the only one that sort of gets a miss in those flashbacks is probably Abby Hoffman. I don't think he gets enough sort of screen time, enough narrative.
Oh, I felt like because he sort of frames some of those chapters with his stand-up comedy that he's doing, which I now am, after watching the film, and I think it all makes sense that it's all after they've been incarcerated.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out. I was like, okay, no, that's afterwards. Yeah.
Because it's in the trailer, you see them in jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Which implies, they don't get through this unscathed.
No.
Like they are found guilty.
Like I was saying, like it's such a bait and switch in the trailer to have this like really inspirational music when in actual fact these people just went to jail.
Yeah, they really got screwed over. There is a silver lining to it, and there is a happy ending, if you will, to them going to prison. But I mean, if you know anything about the story, you know that that's what happens. But this story is really about not their ending, but their story in the trial and the bad stuff that they have to go through, or the wall of noise that they just face in trying to be heard.
Yeah,
this film is obviously very deliberately released at this point in history. You watching the riot scenes, you do think of the riots that, or rather, I should say protests, I guess, but that happened in the States a few months ago, and you go, well, oh wow, we haven't changed at all, from the 1960s.
Yeah.
Even though I think probably a little bit forced, because it's probably like, hey guys, look what's happening, present day. It was still quite effective, I thought.
I wonder what the process was in making this film, whether it was a response to those or it was in the works and it just happened to happen.
It's been in the works for a long time. Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct it last decade.
Does that mean Tom Hanks was going to be in it?
Probably.
That would have been great.
Also, probably would have meant that Mark Rylance is probably still going to be in it as well.
Oh, win-win. Yeah, cool.
Well, I wonder, Tom Hanks might have played Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, perhaps.
Oh, actually, I could see that, yeah.
I thought he was the most underwhelming sort of cast member.
I keep forgetting he's in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Yeah,
I forget he's there.
But I think that he was doing his job, like he was just playing the straight guy.
Yeah.
Historically, I read that lawyer, the prosecution lawyer for the government, wasn't as sympathetic.
No, he's not.
To the Seven as he is portrayed in the film. And I do wonder if that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt going, I don't want to be that much of a bad guy.
He does, yeah, I think I might agree with that point.
I think that maybe has something to do with Aaron Sorkin. I had a look at some of the reaction to this film, and I was surprised to see that the left side of politics was more in an uproar about this story than the right would be.
Right.
And that is because some of the more heavily left-leaning people on the internet are a little bit peeved at people hijacking Abby Hoffman's character. Abby Hoffman's always been this like really radical left, and they feel like Aaron Sorkin has sort of toned him down to get a message across.
Yeah.
When the message in this film really didn't reflect what Abby Hoffman felt.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess in a film you've got to compress.
You have to take creative liberties.
Yeah, exactly, and sort of put things together like that. Now, with Aaron Sorkin, like he is, you may know some of his films, which include A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. The Social Network, which is the Facebook.
I thought that was a David Fincher film.
He's written films. He's written.
Oh, my mistake. Yeah. It's a terrific movie.
Thanks, Matthew. May I continue?
Oh, wow. All right.
The Newsroom, which is the Jeff Daniels
Excellent
series, and The West Wing as well. He's probably more known for his writing, I would suggest, than his directing.
This is the second movie he's directed. First one was Molly's Game a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I heard nothing about Molly's Game.
No, neither did
Idris
I.
Elba, Jessica Chastain.
Oh, I'm aware of the movie. I just heard nothing about it when it came out.
Now, Aaron Sorkin is very well known for his, as I say, his writing and getting his characters, they're walking and talking all the time. And sometimes I find that some of his, it's fast and it's quick and it's sort of sometimes takes away, it's fast and it's quick, therefore it's good, doesn't mean it necessarily has weight. But in this, there is a lot of clever dialogue, which you expect from a Sorkin film. And, I believed pretty much all of it. I thought...
There are some good one-liners. For want of a better phrase, or should I say good comebacks?
Yeah, I do kind of wonder whether, they are very... in the courtroom, they're very sort of vocal in their opposition to the judge. And I do perhaps question...
Oh, no, it was that vocal.
Was it that bad? Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Because you get that note at the end that the lawyer received like 27 contempt of court charges.
Abby Hoffman's was like off the charts.
And this trial went for like 6 months, day in, day out.
Which I don't think the film really does a good job of demonstrating.
Portraying,
as well.
yeah. Like, it says day 100 and something or other, and I was like, wow. But, they don't, they still sort of look the same throughout it.
Yeah.
I have to admit, this is a film that I was not looking forward to seeing. Because I'm not a fan of court movies purely because film should be a visual medium. It shouldn't be lots of people talking in a room. That is the domain of the theatre. An example of this would be, and I know this is a controversial comment I'm about to make, but I disliked The Hateful Eight immensely because it's a theatre. If it was in the theatre, terrific, amazing. The script was incredible, but as a film to look at, really boring. So I had a fear about that with this one, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Yes, they're not in the courtroom the whole time, but even when they are in the courtroom, it is shot so well that it is visually interesting.
This absolutely could have been released in cinemas.
Yeah.
And I think I would have really enjoyed seeing this in the cinema. But, current situations dictate that we have to be at home to watch these sort of things.
It almost felt like it was back to like the old school filmmaking, like at the end, where they do the freeze frame and then the text comes up and it's like, it's like we're back in the 1980s, but in a good way though, in a good way. I liked how, it felt like... It felt like already a classic movie.
I don't know how well it's going to be remembered in 10 years. I mean, I didn't think there was anything especially significant about the direction or even, not to diminish the story, but I think there's better sort of civil rights stories getting around.
I would agree with that.
I definitely think this is a really good example of that. But, I mean, I don't want to call it Oscars bait, but that's what it felt like a little bit to me.
I think Michael Keaton turning up.
Yeah,
he's such a great actor.
Oh, so good.
And I love every scene he's in, and he's in this film for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and the trailer does not suggest that he's a cameo. It suggests he's a major player, and I was thoroughly disappointed with how little Michael Keaton we got, only because he's so good
and how little impact his scene has.
Yeah,
like he comes into the courtroom and the judge says, "All right, everyone, we're gonna I'm dismissing the jury. Okay, say what you need to say." He said it great. We're gonna dismiss that from the trial entirely. So the 10 minutes that he is on screen is rendered null and void by the 15th minute.
Well, no, having said that, that might be the point, though, is the fact that there's this perversion of justice going on. And I'm assuming this is based on the actual...
What actually happened.
But no, the point is that you've got someone in a higher-up official telling his truth, and it's just completely struck from the record because the trial was rigged, basically. Like, they were never going to win.
It was about the only bit of respect that the judge showed to anyone was to this being the former
attorney general
to the president, to the former president. It is such like that was probably the only time is with his character on screen that I was like, yeah, all right, awesome.
I was very surprised to hear that, like, someone that apparently that's the only instance of a person being restrained in American court.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Is that why they all look so shocked? Well, I mean, it is shocking, but I kind of assumed that it had happened to other people.
No, apparently this is like...
It was only what, sorry?
It's the only example of someone being restrained on that sort of scale inside a courtroom.
Like they handcuff him, they gag
him as well.
Right. And that happened?
Yeah.
Wow, oh man.
It's appalling.
That is full on.
Apparently this court transcript, like in its entire form, is like horrific.
Wow.
It must be available somewhere. That could be some nice bedtime reading, couldn't it?
Good gosh. That doesn't sound fun at all.
No.
Yep. Well, stunned silence really made that point. Yeah, this film does go places. Let's put it that way.
I like how it touches on a few important aspects of American history that, I mean, if you're proactive enough and want to explore it a little bit more, you can sort of dive into, like, what's his name? Fred Hampton, the leader of the Black Panthers. His story in particular is quite interesting. The conscription lottery.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Also a fascinating little part of Vietnam. I wasn't aware of the little side story with, certain attorney generals can consider one thing illegal, another, can consider a verdict guilty, and another attorney generals can consider it innocent.
Isn't that just someone having an opinion?
Well, in a legal sense, probably not really, no.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That went right over my head.
How America works, I've got no idea.
Yeah, it's odd. The example in this film is that Michael Keaton, he explicitly says that the blame for the riots was put on the Chicago PD.
Yeah.
The new Attorney General has a differing opinion.
Yeah.
He says, no, it was the actual protesters.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That can be ruled like that. Well, it's not our place to go changing the world too much, I suppose. We can just do our little part.
We're stuck on an island.
Yeah, just recycle everything that arrives.
I've been working on all the climate change here.
Yeah, oh, that's good.
Like
Thank you.
The rising sea level. I want to get off here, so...
And a small insight to Steve's mental health.
Rionas if we need to.
We are declining.
Matt, you said to me today that when you sat down to watch this, you were like, all right.
Yeah,
I may as well get stuck in. I turned it on and was like, 2 hours.
I honestly thought this film was going to be very, very preachy and hit me over the head with a lot of things that I already know and believe for myself already. Like, yes, I know, yes, these things are awful. But you don't like being preached to with films. You don't like it when films hit you over the head with their themes. There's a subtle way of doing things. But this film, after sitting down for half an hour, I think I was almost at the point of going, I'm not going to enjoy this. I'm going to sit here, get through it, and then I'm done. But after like half an hour, I could feel myself despite myself really getting into it. And by the end, I was, when sentences are being passed down or these tense moments between characters, I felt myself really like tensing up or whatever, or nearly gasping and that kind of stuff. So that was impressive, that a film that I had kind of decided I wasn't going to enjoy and changed my mind. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me as well, because I was like, 2 hours, man. I don't have 2 hours. I got sandcastles to build. And it hooked me in. I was stuck. I was like, this is good. I'm enjoying this. It's good.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was terrific. I want more of Sir Mark Rylance and more of Michael Keaton.
Yep.
Maybe in part 2.
That would be great. Yeah, just Michael Keaton going around telling people that he's the boss. That'd be. I would watch that movie.
You should watch The Founder.
I haven't seen The Founder. I've heard that's really good.
There you go.
Is that the one where he plays the McDonald's guy?
Yeah.
Actually,
cool.
his partner in The Founder is the same actor that plays one of the Chicago 7, I think.
Exactly right.
Yeah, there you go. Connections.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as if actors do different films.
No.
Shock and awe. All right. Let's give this bad boy a rating.
All right.
Okay.
Out of gavel bangs?
I should say out of charges of contempt of court.
I mean, that's irrelevant.
Tropical tear gas?
Oh.
What would tropical tear gas smell like?
Pineapples.
Oh!
Nice.
Do you want to do tropical? Does that work?
Tropical tear gas?
I'm okay with that. I'm sure there's someone who's going to be deeply offended, but that's okay.
Tropical tear gas. I'll go first. How about that?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'll go first. I liked how everything was structured in this. I think, yes, they have taken poetic license with a lot of things. But you know what? I don't mind. They were trying to tell this story. And I felt like I came out knowing a lot more about this event. And I was a lot more interested in this event. I could sympathize with the characters. I could sympathize with the process that they had to go through and take it with a grain of salt. How much of this is true, like what is said. Obviously, the conversations are manufactured to some extent, but obviously they've got the transcripts to pull from. So I liked the way it was structured. I liked how they separated things. The movie moved quite well. For something that was conversation-based, I was able to stay on top of things and I was able to watch it and really enjoy it. And, I'm going to give it 5.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, I might follow that up then if that's
Please.
okay. Despite everything I've said about the story and the impact this film has had, I don't remember it because of the story. I remember it because of the performances and the writing. For me, I almost watched this as someone who just appreciates film going, this is a well-made film. But the story itself, even though very important, I think like you said earlier, Steve, there have been other films that have talked about these topics much more effectively. However, having said that, I would recommend this just to witness some great actors doing what they do best.
Yeah.
And a director who's clearly got a script he's very confident in. I would watch it again, but mainly for Sir Mark Rylance, if I'm perfectly honest, because I love what he does in this movie. He's so you empathise with him so much in the position he's in trying to help these guys. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Nice. I'm going to give it a 4. I adore Aaron Sorkin's writing. I love it. I love all the performances in the movie as well. I think Frank Langella, Mike Rylance, Eddie Redmayne even were like real standouts. My issue really is with the ending though. Like it spends the whole movie sort of proving a point really, really well and creating some really good parallels to what's going on at the moment. But the ending is a 5-minute like fluff piece. It is. It should have just gone hard. It should have just gone, look, these people got sentenced to prison and should not have ended on such a note that it did. It should have just ended with sentenced to 5 years prison. And everyone would have felt unjust. They went home and felt something really, really strong. But instead, they get the puff piece. I don't like that. Didn't like the ending. But still, really, really good film. Definitely watch it. Definitely go in there, feel uncomfortable, feel confronted. 4.
It's a solid 12.5. Tropical tear gas canisters.
Hot damn, my eyes are crying because of the tear
I don't like pineapple. This is doubly bad for me.
There's the sound grab for this week's social media post. I don't like pineapple.
I don't like it.
So 12.5 for the trial of the Chicago 7, Aaron Sorkin's latest film on Netflix. I think we all felt pretty good about that.
Yeah, go and watch it. Definitely go and watch it.
Absolutely. I think it's a good little historical monument to pain and suffering. We've been the Trailer Island Podcast, and you can find us on all the social stuff if you want to. You can send us a request, please. Send us something via Facebook or via the website, contact@trailerisland.com.au. You can visit the website, trailerisland.com.au. There's a Twitter, Matthew.
Island trailer.
Got it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, so I have to do a bit of like reverse psychology there, but we haven't found that guy yet.
An injustice it is.
Why would someone have Trailer Island already as a Twitter handle?
Did one of us go back in time and mistakenly set that up before we were meant to?
No. I looked at the actual hashtag, and it's a guy who's created a bunch of rafts out of trailers, and now he's living on it somehow.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Don't follow that guy. Follow us instead. That was what we'd much more prefer.
Yes.
We've been the Trailer Island Podcast. I've been Alex. I've been joined by
Steve
and Matthew.
And we will catch you on the next episode of the Trailer Island Podcast. Good night.
I object.
Sustained.
I didn't say anything.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.